match of last year. Miles Robinson sidelined by a ruptured Achilles, long happily recovered from a not dissimilar injury. Morocco under the tutelage of the hugely experienced Bosnian Vahid Halilhodžić, who has qualified for the last 4 World Cups with 4 different countries, but has only been to 1 so far. He was sacked before one and resigned before another of those major competitions. This is his 11.
Yeah, the strength of this team is in the wing-back positions. Hakimi, one of the best right wing-backs in the world for PSG. Messina's a little bit more practical when he gets forward, but a lot of this is the front three, the fluidity, and having the ability to interchange with positions. It's going to be a real difficult test for the United States back line.
Players of some pedigree playing their club football in Spain and France and Italy and the Premier League. And the match officials from El Salvador, led by Ismael Cornejo, who coincidentally was the match referee the last time that the US played a team from Africa. That was a friendly against Ghana in July 2017 at Rentschler Field, East Hartford, Connecticut. Happy memories for Christian Pulisic. He was the player who scored the goal that broke the deadlock here against Mexico on that night of nights in the midst of World Cup qualification. Brendan Aronson on the point of completing a very expensive and possibly career-defining move to the Premier League and Leeds. Jesus Ferreira leading the score charts in MLS alongside San Jose's Jeremy Abobasi. Yunus Musa looking mature beyond his 19 years, 36 appearances in La Liga this past season for Valencia. Well, it is a steamy old night in Cincinnati, 87 degrees at kickoff. We are told there are likely to be hydration breaks after 30 minutes of either half. And Morocco are here planning to show their durability and the fact that they too think that they could be a factor at this autumn's World Cup. It'll be their 6th trip. They were the first African nation ever to escape the group stage back in 1986. And they are a rising force under Halilhodžić, with players reaching their peak en masse, and also fueled by the work of the federation in finding a programme to develop the best young players. Goalkeeper Bunu, earning the Zamora Trophy as the best goalkeeper in La Liga. It's Pulisic with the free kick, Mai's header, and Bunu eventually with the take. What style of game are you anticipating here, Taylor?
Well, I think it's going to be one that in the first 10-15 minutes, both teams try to feel themselves out. However, the biggest question mark, I think, from a United States perspective is can their midfield dictate the tempo of this game? You've got Aronson, you've got Musa, 2 players comfortable on the ball, 2 players that can give you a different element through the midfield. And from a Moroccan perspective, how often do you force the United States to defend in wide areas? Anthony Robinson, Reggie Karen should have their hands full tonight if Morocco has their way.
Del Tarat getting a throw, now playing his club football very successfully as a defensive midfielder with Benfica. And yes, that is the same player who used to be a temperamental playmaker for Queen's Park Rangers in England and for Tottenham. So suspect was he defensively in those early days that his then manager Neil Warnock told his teammates they couldn't give him the ball inside his own half, and now he's a defensive shield. It's Amrabat. Aguirre, who is the subject of interest from West Ham in England. Amrabat, Mai. Hakimi beaten to it by Yunus Musa, and it'll come for Ferreira. First test for Bunu. Jesus Ferreira, brimful of goal-scoring confidence right now. Tyler Adams. Where? Pulisic. Anthony Robinson providing the width. Morocco's star man, Hakimi, giving the ball away cheaply. Amrabat. Pulisic. Waited and waited before making his run. Amrabat. Noteworthy effort on target, produced by Jesus Ferreira. The other end, it's Walker Zimmerman for the US. Musa. Ferreira wanted it played a little earlier. Instead it's Pulisic. And it's still Pulisic.
Just a fantastic start from the United States, playing on the front foot. And I think tactically one of the biggest concerns for Greg Berhalter or questions is whether or not you can high press teams in the World Cup. And a lot of that is going to come off of Musa and Aronson tonight. Musa doing a wonderful job of putting the Moroccan defenders under pressure, turning them over, now getting Christian Pulisic in a dangerous position to attack that goal. Fantastic early start with a high pressure from the United States.
And the skipper will take the corner with Long and Zimmerman prominent. On its way by Bunu.
Greg Berhalter's only got 6 games. 6 games until that opening game of the World Cup. And so you've got to find out whether or not this team is capable of playing against a team that's in the World Cup at a high level, being on the front foot. Now that's one of the concerns without Miles Robinson as your center back, is you lose a little pace. Is Aaron Long capable of filling in that? But with the Mooses of the world, the Aronsons of the world through the middle, along with Tyler Adams, this midfield, and especially in the first 45 minutes before substitutions are made, should dictate the tempo of this game. 5 minutes in, they've done so.
Zimmerman, Reggie Cannon, Adams. Morocco, threatening, on defensive duty. Kabiu, special, scoring 18 goals in the Turkish Super League for Hatayspor this past season. It's Al-Kabi, Unahi, Hakimi. Adam Messina. Tarab just can't resist at times. Anthony Robinson. The ball past Hakimi. There was no foul. They're using this by way of rehearsal for their World Cup fixture against Canada. Also as a warm-up to potentially awkward Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers next week against South Africa and Liberia.
Noticed in build-ups, excuse me, John, that they've gone to 3 in the back, the United States, and we saw a little bit of that in training as Reggie Cannon will slide in as a right center back, Zimmerman, Aaron Long to the left, but that allows Anthony Robinson to push high on this left, but more so to give Christian Pulisic, player on the ball here, to find the freedom, drop deep, play off of Ferreira, and try to use those combinations and wide areas to get forward.
And right centre back is a position that Reggie Cannon has played for Boa Vista, his club, this season. Hezima. Good tackle, put in by Aronson. It's where. No question who the busier goalkeeper is.
Yeah, but the positive sign from the United States is immediately when they turn it over, they've got 4 or 5 players that are very direct, make a decision, get forward, and have support in and around Timothy Weah. This example here with Aronson and Ferreira running off of him. But that's where you can exploit other teams when you turn them over. How quickly can you get into the final third? The United States doing a good job of that early on.
Clearly a foul. And brought down. Berhalter says the evaluation process never stops, it is ongoing, but a lot of the players do have plenty of credits in the bank, to use his phrase. So when, Taylor, you asked him pointedly yesterday how many of his potentially 26 slots for the roster for the World Cup are filled, he said
19 or 20. So that leaves you with everyone operating on the sense that 26 players will go to the World Cup. About 6 or 7 positions up for grabs. That's barring injuries, barring form, whatever that may be. But right now, if the World Cup was today, he's pretty certain that he's got his 19, 20 players of the 26.
So of these 11 out there now, who in particular would you say is playing for their World Cup place?
Well, I think World Cup place is interesting with Aaron Long. I think Miles Robinson's injury makes him take a step up the ladder with how John Brooks has fallen down the ladder. But whether or not he's the center back partner to Zimmerman, that's interesting. Reggie Cannon's an interesting one. But I think those questions are bigger in the second half when he starts to make changes because of the lack of World Cup camp before those games with your final roster. He has to make 6 changes tonight, and 6 changes are some going to be those players that they've never seen before.
He pretty much knows the 6 he wants to send on. As they're injury-free, aren't forced into substitutions. Anticipating seeing Haji Wright, Joe Scally, Carter Vickers, Palmer Brown, De La Torre and Tillman. Soudali. Man over at the back post for Morocco. Man is Messina. Thought about the overhead there from El Kaabi.
I think it needs to be stated, John, that Jordi Mihalovic would be starting tonight for Brendan Aronson's position, because Greg Berhalter made a real point of saying how impressed he's been with Montreal early on in this MLS season. Remember, early on in Greg Berhalter's tenure, he was in those camps, but tonight, if healthy, he would be in for that Brendan Aronson spot.
Still in the getting to know you phase of this game, and all 3 of the US front line have had a shot on goal. Saiss. Knocked out by Aguirre. Saiss, who announced with sadness at the press conference yesterday that he will be leaving Wolves of the Premier League after 6 years. Messina. Soudali. And Messina! The left wing-back popping up in the centre-forward's position. Should have polished it off. Now it's Soudali! Morocco's turn to threaten.
Well, and Tyler Adams a little upset with what happened here, because it's just a quick switch of play from Saiss, allows Morocco to get out from that pressure. And then it's a real combination from Messina getting forward, and a good save from Matt Turner. Again, pressure consistently being put on from Soudali in Morocco.
Hakimi to take. It's towards Aguirre. It's a half-hearted appeal for hands in the midst of that. It's back with the corner taker, Ashraf Hakimi. Mai. It's optimistic, and it wasn't the worst effort in the world from a central defender who has yet to score for his country. Tarat. Mugarabi. Caught in possession and relieved to hear the referee's whistle. Along part of a back four for the US, which is entirely different to that fielded in the opening World Cup qualifier. There's been a fair turnover of players. Zimmerman finding form and finding a place. Miles Robinson sadly injured. The first back four of World Cup qualification was Yedlin, Miles Robinson, Tim Ream and Serginho Dest at left back. Dest currently injured. Goes Morocco's way. Push by Aaron Long, but the referee didn't agree. Musa. Pulisic. Nibble by Mayi.
Yeah, Pulisic's lucky to get away with this one here. And my one concern with Musa and Pulisic and that relationship that we saw, John, in World Cup qualifying is I think Christian Pulisic is more dynamic for the United States when he stays wide and plays further up the field. When he drops deep, he often plays into the spaces of Musa, and then it limits the impact that Musa can have on the half a turn, his ability to penetrate and drive with the ball at his feet. I think Greg Berhalter and his staff have a little concern that those two operate in the same spaces, and you've seen glimpses of that in the first 15. I think Pulisic's more impactful when he plays further up the field and in wider positions. Because Musa's got the ability to turn on the half a turn through the middle, drive, and then Pulisic can be the one getting on the end of it instead of trying to create the play for your left back that's bombing forward. The whole goal is to get your most dangerous players in dangerous spots to impact the game, and I think Pulisic is when he's more vertical, playing in behind the opposition back line.
Wondering about Weston McKennie as he continues his recovery from injury. He is on the bench and available. Capable, says Greg Berhalter, of maybe 20 minutes this evening if required. Aronson. Agreeing with the suggestion that it's more about performance than result. This and the next friendly against Uruguay at the weekend. At the same time, he did add the caveat that he hates anything other than winning. His happy memories of his last visit here, of course, against Mexico 6 months ago. Previously, unhappy times in the city of Cincinnati, losing in the US Open Cup with the crew against USL FC Cincinnati 2017, and 3-0 friendly defeat at Nippert Stadium with the national team against Venezuela, but all of that expunged from his memory by the sweet taste of success over the oldest of enemies.
Well, remember, the last time the United States played Morocco in 2006, it was the injury to Corey Gibbs in that game that put Greg Berhalter on the World Cup roster.
Most recent of 3 meetings between these sides prior to tonight, all of which have been won by Morocco. But only 2 Americans have scored against Morocco, Hugo Perez and Eric Winalda. Messina with bags of space. Tarat, El Kabi.
The issue for the United States right now is in possession, they're at 3 in the back, but when it turns over, if Morocco can play a quick switch to Messina going forward, he's got tons of space, 35, 40 yards, to force the issue, drive it forward, then cut it inside for a good opportunity.
Here comes Aronson. And now where? Pulisic available in the centre. On defensive duty is Saiss. That's a foul.
Yeah, you can see right now that Brendan Aronson, Timothy Way, and Reggie Cannon are having a conversation, because Reggie Cannon, when that ball turns over, I think Zimmerman's got to release him a little sooner to force pressure on the ball, because Messina, over the last 2 attacks for Morocco, has had about 30 yards, 40 yards even, with no pressure on him to come forward, drive it forward, and then it asks some questions to the back line of the United States. That's been too easy on that switch from right to left. That's opened up the United States defensive structure.
Bunahi. El Kabi's unmarked. It is El Kabi. There was a big area that was allowed to be vacant by the US. It's occupied by 2 Moroccan players. Adams. Drilled for Anthony Robinson. Pulisic. Timothy Ware! Who may feel like he's been in a shooting gallery up till this point. He's fired at him from a number of directions, a number of different players. To everything thus far. The encouraging thing for the US is that they are creating the opportunities. So less frequently a Morocco. Or thereabouts away from the anticipated first hydration break. Temperature's dipped ever so slightly since kickoff, but it's still 85 degrees. Musa. Tarat. Kimi waited for him. Kimi then feels he was clipped late. The effort was by Bunahi. Hakimi's still down. And the referee is showing no inclination to talk to Anthony Robinson. He didn't see a great deal wrong.
Anthony Robinson trying to recover because Tyler Adams had the space covered. You go back to moments before that, Timothy Way, a very dynamic, direct combining off of Christian Pulisic. And the United States look very confident when the front 3 are just having the ability to come inside, come outside, play off of each other, because they've all added a different element to this. Greg Berhalter stressing a ton over just having Christian Pulisic in the right spots to impact the game. We've seen some of that, especially off the Way chance moments ago of coming inside, combining.
Well, the referee's taken the sensible decision to turn this into a hydration break rather than stopping now and stopping again in 2 minutes or so. Which gives us a chance to look at what's been a fairly front-footed start by the United States here.
Well, and it's a friendly that has started on the front foot because both nations understand the magnitude of having good performances heading into a World Cup where you're not going to have a pre-World Cup camp and you're not going to have a ton of opportunity to impact and change the manager's mind. The United States testing early with good pressure, turning Morocco over, getting numbers forward, but then Morocco understanding that when the United States turn the ball over, the immediate switch to their left back Messina has given them some real space going forward. Soudali very dynamic, playing off of that. Messina finishing that, but Turner doing a real good job of coming up with some big timely saves. Both goalkeepers tested very early on in this one, with Timothy Weah having the latest chance, combining with Pulisic through the middle.
Timothy Weah with 2 of the United States' 4 registered efforts on goal so far. The more combustible of the 2 managers, without question, Vahid Halilhodžić. He's closing in on his 70th birthday. He's a pretty fiery personality, doesn't court popularity. He's been at odds with the Moroccan media, particularly over the omission of Chelsea's Hakim Ziyech, who, as things stand, will not be going to the World Cup, but that is a row that continues to rumble in Moroccan football.
But that's nothing new for his managerial career.
Not at all. It's not unheard of. In fact, it's happened twice for him to qualify a team for the World Cup and not actually manage them at it because of previous fallouts. He's taken Ivory Coast, Algeria and Japan to the last 3 World Cups before this upcoming one. He's only actually been to a World Cup in 2014 with Algeria. Took them to the round of 16, actually beaten extra time by Germany.
But for the listeners at home, if you think he won't keep Ziyech off the roster for the World Cup, you're mistaken.
Pulisic through the middle, brought down beautifully. Then the check, then the layoff, then the goal. Aronson's name on it, Pulisic all over it. World class from Christian Pulisic to set up his teammate.
I think Christian Pulisic watched Yarmolenko in Ukraine today against Scotland, almost an identical run, identical goal, just a world-class goal. But what is the key component of this goal? The verticality of Christian Pulisic. He comes in the middle, he's in the hole. Now he's going the other way, because for the first 20 minutes, the Moroccan defenders have seen Christian Pulisic time and time again in front of them. But where is he most dangerous? It's using his ability to go the other way. How's that for a first touch? And then the composure to take it down, cut it, and then have the eyes and the ability to lay it off for Brendan Aronson, making a 45-yard run in support. Well, what a fantastic team goal from the United States, led by their captain, Christian Pulisic.
A goal that was all about its construction and its conception and its execution. And Aronson, having diligently made the run, was left with the comparatively easy part. His 6th international goal in just 19 appearances. Meteoric rise from Philadelphia via Salzburg and now to the Premier League with Jesse Marsh and Leeds. Still just at the tender age of 21. And just the 3rd American ever to score against Morocco, who try to respond now with El Kaabi, and that's a foul from Long. And it is, despite it being a friendly, going to be a yellow card for the Red Bulls centre-back.
Well, now Kaabi's a former winger turned striker that's been real successful for his career in Turkey. 18 goals this year in the Turkish First Division. And so he's got a real good understanding of making those runs that really get center backs into bad positions. Aaron Long in one of those, and rightfully so, given a yellow.
Settling back into their seats after a thrilling passage of play that led to the United States goal. Morocco's supporters responding noisily the rhythmic, almost thunderclap-like applause, which is also joined by some of the US fans too. Very convivial atmosphere inside this stadium tonight. Sudali positioning himself in a spot that is clearly offside. He will jog back in. The header is goal-bound, but not really a threat. Saiz retreats and the United States break. Where? It's Aronson. Sudali. Now Tarrant, familiar loping stride, loves a step over. Musa. Pulisic. Another indeterminate ball in.
See what I mean from Yunus Musa? I mean, it's quick, but it opens up the game for the United States. He gives them a completely different element through the middle. His ability to drive and penetrate through the middle of the opposition with the ball at his feet opens up the game for the right players to be more impactful in behind. You can tell the World Cup's on the horizon, can't you, John? This game's being played at a real clip.
Particularly for a friendly. There's a tempo to it, there is a competitive edge to it. Determination from Morocco not to be shown up, not to become the first Moroccan team to lose to the United States. Morocco, in fact, have never lost a fully fledged international to a team from CONCACAF. Of time in the mid-1980s they did lose an unofficial game against Canada, but that doesn't count in the records. Caps were not awarded. Messina. Pulisic. Zimmerman. Pulisic. Anthony Robinson. Cameron. Where? Third effort of the night, and this time he hits the jackpot with a shot of coruscating power and precision that appeared to flick the glove of Bunu, but there was no way he was keeping it out.
A massive X factor for Greg Berhalter and the United States in the World Cup this winter is what are they going to get from Timothy Weah, because injuries have just led to some inconsistency in form in the ability to get a straight run of games, and yet when he is healthy, there's not a player for the United States that can operate at a higher level, at a top speed, consistently threatening the back line. We've seen it in the first half today against Morocco with 3 great opportunities, and the third one hit with some real pace and swerve, ending up in the back of the net.
Can't help but think that the most decorated goalkeeper in Spain this season should have done better with that, but that's not to detract from Timothy Weah, who ended his club season with Lille with 3 goals and an assist in his last 2 appearances, and has carried on in similar vein here, and the United States have a comfortable lead. 6 minutes between the goals. Dos Acero. Sharp fans who in Cincinnati are well versed in such things. Saiss. Hakimi. Mai. Sudali. Hakimi of Paris Saint-Germain. Let's have a look at the trajectory of that ball as it left Weah's boot.
Well, and it's really the first time in this half that we've seen Reggie Cannon get forward. And listen, a goalkeeper of this quality, of this pedigree, absolutely should make this save, but that ball's knuckling just a little bit away from him. That because it's hit with that pace, it's off the side of the hand from Bunu and in the back of the net. The point being, that's the third really good strike though we've seen from Weah. He's not wasting opportunities and chances.
Referee played an advantage there after the very obvious shirt pulling by Weah. Tariq Sudali. It's once more for Weah. Masina. They only conceded one goal in their World Cup qualification group, in which they won all 6 games against Guinea-Bissau, Guinea and Sudan. They then faced a 2-legged playoff against DR Congo. Drew in Kinshasa, won handsomely in Casablanca. It was enough to secure their ticket. Mai. Amrabat. Saiss, who looks considerably less comfortable in the middle of this defence than he does in the middle of the Wolves one.
Well, this has been a good battle in the first half between Aaron Long and El Kaabi.
ESPN's coverage of US soccer is presented by the all-electric Volkswagen ID4. And in part by Jim Beam. Please drink responsibly. By Ferreira. This is not the very certain goalkeeper that we've enjoyed watching in our La Liga coverage with Sevilla this past season on ESPN+. The consummate custodian on way to winning the Zamora Trophy, but a little shaky tonight. Here's Masina, who's been relegated from the Premier League with Watford. Saiss. That's Musa. Fending off El Kaabi successfully. Will be the second highest ranked African team at the World Cup behind Senegal. difficult group. Belgium ranked second in the world, Croatia the runners-up last time out. Also Canada.
I think Canada becomes a real X factor in that group because of the age of the Croatian side playing in another major tournament. That becomes a very difficult group to predict.
Aronson. It's also difficult to assess how far over the top of the hill Belgium are, whether there are forces of regeneration within that squad.
Well, the back line you and I saw lose to Italy in the Euros is undoubtedly not going to be the back line you see this winter. And so, can they fill in the gaps? And which Romelu Lukaku will Belgium get?
US, of course, in action on the first night of the World Cup. 4 games a day during the group stage. It's a shortened span to the World Cup to squeeze it into mid-season position. And who their opponent will finally be determined on Sunday after a hugely emotional day in Glasgow with Scotland succumbing to Ukraine. They now play in Wales, in Cardiff. That's live with us on 11:30 AM Eastern, ESPN2. Final playoff for the World Cup. Pulisic. Hakimi. No advantage accruing, free kick. Taking a while over the organisation of what at the moment is a 3-man wall. Here's an option we've seen often enough, the shooting prowess of Saiss for Wolverhampton Wanderers. 3 becomes 4. Build up. The referee's now ready. And it is Hakimi. Took a deflection en route.
I don't think there was any doubt about this. Hakimi was hitting this one. And that's why you saw all the diligent work from Matt Turner to make sure that Weah and Anthony Robinson were covering that near post.
In the box for Morocco, Hakimi's delivery was really well defended. And here comes Unahi.
I think Turner got a touch on this. The Moroccan players are arguing it, and this is unfortunate from Jesus Ferreira. He's got to do better with this as Unani's put little pressure on him. But this ball's moving. He loses the defender in Robinson. That ball's moving a little bit. It felt like Turner got a touch, but Jesus Ferreira has to do better in defending in that spot, holding possession and not allowing Morocco to counter quickly. I think it's going to be interesting. How quickly does Greg Berhalter make some changes? Right? He didn't give us a time. He did say he's going to make 6. But now having the result that he got out of the first half, does he maybe say, you know what, I'm going to make the changes at halftime and maybe give a few more minutes to some players that I want to see?
Aronson. All pretty much satisfactory to this point for the United States. Defensive scares aside, a wonderful moment from Pulisic in teeing up the first goal for Aronson. Shot of great power catching out a seasoned goalkeeper. Aware in the second. Anthony Robinson.
I was curious coming into this first half, the relationship between Musa, Robinson, and Christian Pulisic. And all in all, it's been on point. A real good understanding between the three, playing the angles, allowing Robinson the freedom to go forward, to have the space in front of him. Pulisic coming inside, almost playing as a second forward at times, but also allowing Musa some space to impact the game through the middle.
This in some sort of recent context, Morocco have lost only one of their last 34 internationals. And that was against Egypt in the quarter-final of January's Africa Cup of Nations. And even that went to extra time.
I think it's one thing to be down 2 goals, it's another to be down in the manner that they are. The United States have dominated this game.
Here's Ferreira! Redeems himself to an extent for letting in that second goal. Pulisic. Idiosyncratic first half. Amrabat into space for Hakimi. El Kaabi. Messina. Sudali. Crowded out by Zimmerman. What may run out on Morocco here? Amrabat. Robinson alert to the threat, and that is half-time at TQL Stadium in Cincinnati, and all pretty satisfactory. The 19-year-old from Mönchengladbach in Germany is bow, as it is for 24-year-old striker Haji Wright, currently playing in Turkey for Antalyaspor. 2 debuts then at half-time, taking the number of debutants created by Greg Berhalter during his time in charge to 55. Haji Wright is in that category of players who have the chance to make an impact. Might it be enough to earn a World Cup ticket? He finished the Turkish club season in a blaze of goal-scoring glory, 9 goals in 9 games. 6 players in Turkey scored more goals than him this past season. Second half in Cincinnati underway. First half goals from Aronson and Timothy Ware. Substitutions will also be in mind for Wahid Amrabat. It's a foul. The PSG right wing back.
And I don't find it a coincidence that the three changes from Greg Berhalter are in three positions that have depth questions, right? We all know about the number 9 position lacking a real center forward grasping that. Joe Scally, a real good option of versatility, can play anywhere, left side, right side, particularly at left back. Who's the backup to Anthony Robinson? And with Miles Robinson's injury, Cameron Carter-Vickers gets a real good look, especially with John Brooks not being in the picture at the present moment.
Carter-Vickers has come off the back of a title-winning season with Celtic, in which he made one shy of a half-century of appearances. Kavi in a tangle with Musa, who just wouldn't give up.
Well, we know about the quality from Musa with the ball at his feet, but it's off the ball, the ability to pressure players, win possession, win tackles. It's amazing when you watch Musa play, you still have to double check the fact that he's only 19. There's a composure and an air about the way Musa plays that makes you feel like he's been doing this for 6 or 7 years for Greg Berhalter in the United States.
7 years at the Arsenal Academy. Born in New York City, grew up in Italy, then in London. Here's Taarabt. Block was by Reggie Cannon. Messina. Right. Taarabt once again. A bit more of the old Adel Taarabt, operating a little further forward tonight.
A little bit forward. It's amazing how his career has evolved, hasn't it?
I mean, he looked like he was going to be a world beater when he first played at Tottenham. And then he was very much the star turn in Neil Warnock's Queen's Park Rangers, but he would exasperate the manager as often as he would delight him.
Well, it doesn't help that Harry Redknapp in 2014 said he's about 2 stones overweight.
He was in one of his better phases in England. My, what a talent.
Johnny signed for Benfica in 2015, and then it took 4 years to make his first appearance for the club.
Here's Aronson. Set clear by Pulisic, and a big chance for Wright. Really nice link-up play. Pulisic on the follow-up. Showed a bit too much of it to Anahi. Having quite the moment for the debutant striker. Amrabat. Second half starting as the first half unfolded, with a fair bit of tempo to it. Adam Messina.
I told the story in pregame that for the youth national teams in the United States, the Borussia Dortmund scouts came to watch not Christian Pulisic, but Haji Wright. They found Pulisic in that visit, but Haji Wright comes with a real pedigree at the youth national team level of scoring goals, playing at the highest level. Now, it's been a little bit of a nomadic professional career, playing in so many countries for so many different clubs, but he's still only 24 years of age. He scored 15 goals in the Turkish First Division, but he's a completely different center forward than Jesus Ferreira. He's an out-and-out number 9, back to goal, getting on the end of things in the final third. Good opportunity in his first cap.
Unahi. Snaffled back by Adams. Messina reportedly is leaving relegated Watford to further his career in Italy, Serie A. Adams. Pulisic. Scally. US have a corner. Morocco have only been in the country 2 days, so preparation not ideal from their point of view. It's their choice to travel when they did. From a gathering point in Rabat. For Bunu. But Morocco do things in a different way, shall we say. Taylor, we were hearing stories about their star performer Ashraf Hakimi arriving at Cincinnati Airport, expecting a red carpet and a royal reception, and receiving a message from team administration to get himself an Uber to the team hotel. Which doesn't happen when he's playing for PSG.
Do you know what he and the Uber driver talked about for 20 minutes?
Go on.
How bad the Reds' pitching has been. I'm willing to bet you $1 million right now that Uber driver had no clue that Hakimi was his passenger.
Didn't get much of an argument to that.
Yeah, but then again, over 4 million people watching Champions League final. So
Messina! Oh, very good readjustment to deny Soudali. Serious piece of action from Matt Turner. Soudali, always a threat aerially.
Yeah, and a little concerning from the United States perspective because Soudali loses his mark, dropping in between Aaron Long and Cameron Carter-Vickers. But Matt Turner just has the propensity. Great run there from Soudali off the back shoulder of the defender in his blind side. Does everything you're taught to do, head it back across the goal. But just perfect technique from Matt Turner. It's a great article from Sam Stejko in The Athletic on Matt Turner and just his evolution and what he dealt with during World Cup qualifying, but also why he desperately wanted to make this move, which a lot of people would say is not great time heading into the World Cup. Going to Arsenal, ultimately going to be a backup. I just think right now the goalkeeping position is Matt Turner's to lose.
I liked his phrase when asked about his attitude to going to Arsenal, and explained that his new wife is expecting their first child. She's already made the move over there, or is in the process. But professionally, he just said, look, it's an opportunity I had to take up. I'm playing with house money, frankly. As an undrafted individual out of Fairfield University, you can kind of understand.
But you just saw Sean Johnson sitting behind Greg Berhalter, and I want the listeners to understand, when I asked Greg Berhalter, who's your goalkeeper right now? And he referenced his playing career with the Casey Kellers, Brad Friedos, Tony Meolas, and even Tim Howards. And he said, I'm going to go with the hot hand. Because if Sean Johnson's playing as well as he is with New York City, and the other three aren't getting games and aren't playing consistently, I have to make a difficult decision and go with the guy that's playing the most. And I found it very, very interesting that he mentioned Sean Johnson immediately. Because a year ago, John, that was Matt Turner being mentioned, that he's knocking on the door, he's pushing Zach Steffen. I think Greg Berhalter's not concerned about the goalkeeping position. I think he's concerned more about number 9.
The expectation is that Sean Johnson will get a go at some stage during this window. That would be his first cap in 2 years and 4 months. A tremendously loyal servant to the US men's national team, turning up for camp after camp. Just 9 caps in total. Haji Wright. Pulisic. Amrabat made the challenge. In the view of the referee, Amrabat got the final touch, and so it's a corner. Amrabat plays his club football for Fiorentina. He has an older brother, Nuruddin, who played in the Premier League with Watford for a while. This one even deeper than the last. Not one that carried any great threat. Amundsen. Unahi to Ashraf Hakimi. And again, Unahi. This is one of the better moves. Sudali deserved a better finish.
Good build-up there from Morocco. Tyler Adams pushing Amrabat. He turned him. Then the game opened up a little bit for Morocco going forward. Okabi and Sudali have had their chances. They have had their chances either in combination with one another or playing off of that quick switch point of attack with Morocco going forward. But Morocco have had their chances. Absolutely.
It's probably as docile a shot of Halilhodžić as you will ever see. Usually he's fizzing firework on the sidelines. Lost just one of his 30 games at the helm of Morocco. Rumours earlier this month that he was going to be fired because of his fallout with Ziyech. His non-inclusion in the squad, those proved to be unfounded. He was actually away on holiday. Right, Aronson, who of course is Leeds United bound very shortly. As speculation continues to swirl about a couple of his US men's teammates. Where will Tyler Adams end up next season from Leipzig? Stories too that Chris Richards, although out recovering from medium-term injury at the moment, he might be on the move as well.
Yeah, the rumor is Crystal Palace is leading the front line of that, but there are about 3 or 4 Premier League clubs that are intrigued about Chris Richards, his injury, and when he comes back. And from all indications, I think the U.S. men's national team would be shocked if Richards isn't joining Brendan Aronson in the Premier League. I think the bigger question is, where does Tyler Adams end up? You know, naturally everyone says, well, Jesse Marsch and Leeds. I'm not sure that's the move he makes, but I'd be shocked too if he's not on the move. I think he's ready to leave Leipzig. He wants to. It's going to be interesting. But on the Premier League topic, when you watch Brendan Aronson, John, you tell me, he's going to fit in, isn't he?
He looks the part. I mean, frankly, he looked like a potential Premier League player even before leaving Philadelphia. But the season and a half at Salzburg has polished the diamond. Certain that he will love playing in front of one of the most fervent atmospheres anywhere in English football at Elland Road.
It's also the hard thing to judge preparation for a World Cup, because you're talking about so many players that would make moves when right now, traditionally, they'd be preparing for the World Cup in a couple of weeks.
This is a World Cup build-up like none before it.
Great run.
Haji Wright. Where in support? Aronson! Pulisic, was he fouled? Yes, penalty. Bunu's off in pursuit of the Salvadoran referee, and he earns a yellow card for his protests. And so too does Hakimi. And Saiss is in danger of following his colleagues into the notebook.
Well, this play first starts with a great run off the shoulder of the defender from Haji Wright. Now the touch takes him away from goal, but he keeps his composure, keeps the play alive, understands that Way is coming in behind, but then it's the turn there from Brendan Aronson, and Bonu has to make a good save. I felt like Pulisic maybe was a little too slow, but he had a good understanding that Hakimi was coming in from behind. I'm not sure where the argument is.
Well, the argument has embroiled 3 Morocco players in such protests that they've been yellow carded. We showed you Bounou and Hakimi being booked. Aguerd also received a yellow card. There's a suggestion that Saiss did too. Catching up on his administrative work as a result of that outbreak of indiscipline. Captain with ball beneath arm. Hodzic preparing changes. El Nasiri of Sevilla is going to be one of those introduced the other side of this penalty kick. As a Chelsea man knows well the Chelsea tactic of sending forward a dummy taker to take all the abuse, and that's precisely what he was, because he's handed the ball on and Haji Wright has the chance. It's quite the gesture and quite the moment. 18 minutes into his international career. Haji Wright in double quick time is an international goal scorer.
And a friendship that was established long before his first cap for the national team tonight in Cincinnati. Haji Wright, Christian Pulisic, teammates with the youth national team, and Pulisic giving the ball to his youth teammate Haji Wright in his debut. What a moment, and what leadership from Christian Pulisic months before the World Cup. That's a big one for Greg Berhalter in the number 9 position.
Well, in terms of a welcome present, that's as good as it gets in international football. We're now seeing 2 more US substitutions and a couple also from Morocco. El Nasiri coming on and Salim Amala of Standard Liège coming into the midfield. And for the US, it's going to be Luca De La Torre, and perhaps more significantly in the context of an upcoming World Cup, it's going to be Malik Tillman. But first, the exit ovation for the captain, who set up 2 of the goals and then also gave his old pal Haji Wright such a boost by taking the stick from the opposition ahead of the penalty at the last minute, handing the ball to Wright to take the kick. Proper leadership. Malik Tillman, 20 years old, only last Saturday, 7 first-team appearances for Bayern, born in Nuremberg to a US father, very much one for the future. But does that future include World Cup 2022? Clutches his head after coming together with Cannon, who's going to be cautioned here. Yellow card for Reggie Cannon. That's a harsh yellow, especially in a friendly. sceptical about the construction of that attack dealt with by Carter Vickers. Tillman, the third US player to make his international debut tonight, taking the tally of debutants under Berhalter to 56. Torre. Cannon. Where? Right. Arrows. Torre. Barring unlikely happenings, the United States on their way to a first ever victory over Morocco. Lost their previous 3 against them. He's right. Tillman was hoping for it back. He breaks for Hakimi. And he's outpaced Joe Scally. And Joe Scally bites back. Straightforward yellow for Amrabat.
What a run this was from Hakimi, and Joe Scally had to stay with it because he blew right by him. You know, you watch Brenden Aaronson play, and obviously we're not seeing the analytics part of it, but the physical output of what Brenden Aaronson puts in a game, every single manager he's ever had said they almost have to look at the numbers 3 times because they've never seen anything like it. I mean, he's all over the place at a high speed.
Yeah, even the eye test tells you that.
Absolutely.
Right, 2 more Moroccan introductions. Number 10 is Amin Harit, in the place of Sami Mai. Harit of Schalke in Germany, although he's been on loan at Marseille. 34 appearances as they finished runners-up in the French league. And also coming on in that break in play was Soufiane Rahimi. Plays in the United Arab Emirates these days. Harit. Torre. This doesn't happen very often to Vahid Halilhodzic in Morocco. It's going to be just his second defeat at the helm, assuming that nothing remarkable happens in the next 20 minutes as we hit the second half drinks break. The United States leading through first half goals from Aronson and Weah, and a second half penalty converted by Haji Wright.
Well, this game got off to a great start from the United States, forcing Morocco to defend, but the game opened up when Pulisic changed his run. He was playing everything in front of the back line. He played vertical, great touch, composure. Brenden Aaronson finishes it off. Bunu should have done better with it, but Weah hit it with real good pace. Then Pulisic drawing the penalty, giving the penalty to his youth friend Haji Wright, who scores in his debut for the men's national team.
So to this point, we're at what, 3/4 distance? What's the scorecard looking for the United States? If we were doing marks out of 10, what sort of territory would we be in, Taylor?
It's a good question. I think with these friendlies, I think as a manager, you've got to see if your team's capable, as Weston McKennie's going to come in here and play a little more than 20 minutes here, but you got to see whether or not against an opponent you're going to see in a World Cup competition, type. Can you be the protagonist? Can you dictate the game? As you and I talked about at halftime, you don't know that until you try it. So I would say the first 45, yes, they could have gave up goals. Yes, Morocco had chances, as Brendan Aronson gets a round of applause, rightfully so. I'd say an 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10, which is pretty positive against an opponent like this.
Talking of number 8s, Weston McKennie on. Made his reappearance after sustaining a broken foot for Juventus on the final day of the Serie A season, just briefly as a substitute. Morocco in a very unfamiliar position. In fact, they've not lost by multiple goals for 8 years. A friendly against Russia in June 2014. So maybe that 8.5 out of 10 is warranted for the US. Morocco are no easy beats on the international circuit. They themselves have a World Cup to prepare for. This is pretty much their first choice team. It certainly was from the start. Hakimi, Vickers, Scally. Right. Strong in the hold-up play and earning a free kick. United States eager for more, and Tillman goes nearly all the way, draws the save from Bunu to corner.
Malik Tillman's an interesting one because you make a few phone calls to people in Germany that are in the know, and the same consistent message is there that this may be a bigger gift for the United States men's national team than Julian Green. He's in the Bayern Munich youth system. He's got a real versatility to him, although at the highest level, many people say he's going to be an 8, a two-way midfielder playing through the middle, but he's shown the propensity that he can impact the game in the final third. This is going to be an interesting one. A very interesting inclusion into this roster and into this program over the next 4 months.
Corner by Tillman, out by Aguirre. Hakimi. Too adhesive, the defending from Vickers. Rahimi. Oh, penalty. And the US are aghast at that. They can't believe that decision. Moose has gone straight to the assistant referee. A couple of his colleagues have gone straight to the main referee. Folded arms of Greg Berhalter tell their own tale, but it is a spot kick to Morocco.
Rahimi cuts this ball across Joe Scally. There's nothing there. There's no contact whatsoever. You and I called the EFL Championship playoff final, and there was a yellow card given to the attacking player that there was contact made. Now, there's no VAR in this. The assistant referee initially made an indication that he wanted to have a conversation with the referee in the middle, but that conversation was never had. Penalty is going to be taken.
It's a phantom foul. So a chance for Morocco to put themselves on the board. Salim Amala of Standard Liège in Belgium. And maybe justice is done. Although it's still in play, and the US have remaining work to do. And Ware has just about done enough, and they get a free kick.
Dear Lord.
90 seconds of craziness.
The ball never lies, John. The participants may, but the ball never lies. Just an absolute zoo after this penalty is taken. But that was a harsh penalty. Joe Scally made a swipe of the ball, but there was no contact made on the attacking player whatsoever.
The referee was actually pretty well positioned. Made it all the more mystifying. Right, Hakimi's going off. His replacement, Sofiane Alakouche, plays in France for Metz, whose season ended in relegation. He actually finished the season on loan in Switzerland with Lausanne.
Kenny. Della Torre. Marty Wright halted by Aguirre. He's the player who's being strongly linked with a move to West Ham.
You know, I just love watching Della Torre play with the ball at his feet. Very direct in progressing the ball, but it's under control. We saw glimpses of this in World Cup qualifying. He's eerily similar to Musa with the ball at his feet, right? Extremely comfortable. Now, there's questions whether or not coming from the Dutch First Division in these international games, can he physically hold up? John, the point is, he never loses the ball.
Long, having to stretch. Have it with McKennie.
I mean, even there, he's top of the 18. He's in control.
Messina. Harit. Unahi. Amrabat. Adam Messina. Under Vickers. Unahi. ESPN's coverage of US soccer is presented by the all-electric Volkswagen ID4. And in part by Jim Beam. Please drink responsibly. States, Kansas City on Sunday, Uruguay, Nations League games against Grenada in Austin, and a trip to El Salvador. We'll anticipate a couple of friendlies in September, and that'll be it ahead of the World Cup, which begins on the 21st of November. The US are on the opening day menu. The late game of the four that day against either Wales or Ukraine. Up comes Unahi. He's put in a decent shift tonight. He's replaced by the experienced Faisal Faj, 49th cap for the player from Sivasspor in Turkey. Falling to the newly arrived Faj.
It hasn't been as clean of a second half that we saw in the first half from the back line. Now, some of that is when you make changes in these friendlies, you lose some of that cohesion that we saw in the first half. Joe Scally coming in at left back, Cameron Carter-Vickers coming in for Zimmerman. So there have been a few nervy moments from that back line in this second half.
McKennie.
Since his injury, this is the first time McKennie has, trained 5 days in a row?
Yes. Just 14 minutes on the final day of the Serie A season off the bench for Juve. That injury was towards the end of February. Cost him almost 3 months. Vickers. Setting Ware in pursuit. Scally. Not sure there's been too much here to frighten John Herdman and Canada, one of Morocco's World Cup opponents. But you would think that Morocco, given their experience and their pedigree, will be a whole lot better than this come the World Cup.
Yeah, I would think so, although there is cause for concern. It's not about individual quality, it's about cohesion and the collection of players coming together. Even after they dominated their group play in World Cup qualifying in advance from Congo, there's still question marks because of the manager and his style of making everyone feel uncomfortable and uneasy at times of whether or not this group can have any kind of cohesion. It's not really a question mark for Greg Berhalter.
We can learn a little bit more about Morocco's cohesion, or possibly the lack of it, by going down to Gillian Sakovic.
John, that's right, a very diverse squad. 15 players born outside of Morocco. They play for 14 different leagues and multiple languages spoken down here on the field. I spoke to New York City FC assistant coach Mehdi Bellucci, a Morocco native, and he said that while the diversity is a beautiful thing, the group has always been the biggest challenge for any manager of the Moroccan national team, but it's certainly magnified with this generation who have to try to gel and play as a team in this limited time before Qatar.
Thank you, Gillian. It's not a job with long-term prospects generally, head coach of Morocco. But Halilhodžić has lasted nearly 3 years. Long is receiving treatment. That's the reason for the hold-up.
He is receiving treatment, and not treatment for cramps.
No. Doesn't seem to be, happily, any particular distress about it. Any player that's been out for a considerable period of time, as he was, nearly a year, with that ruptured Achilles, there's always that extra layer of concern.
Well, and he spoke with our Jeff Carlisle on ESPN.com, and he talked about how he's reaching out to Miles Robinson once a week to help him get through the mental hurdles and his experience of coming back from an Achilles tendon injury and whatnot. I thought that was very transparent because Miles Robinson got his opportunity because Aaron Long ruptured his Achilles. So there's that odd connection between both players.
Right. Tillman to Ware. United States ahead. Goals from Aronson, Ware, and right from the spot. And Tillman's touch just letting him down a little. Scally. Long is back on. Here's Wright. Vickers. Recent setbacks at the end of World Cup qualifying for the US. They won 2 of their last 5 games in qualification. After that, it was only 1 defeat in 19, so the overall picture still pretty healthy. A 26th win in their last 35 games. And just 4 defeats in that span. And they edged one closer towards that all-time record of unbeaten home fixtures. It'll extend to 24 with this result. All-time best is 26. It's Cannon. Harriet.
Turner sharply down.
Good little spell of possession here and dynamism from Harrods. Remember, he won the Euro Championship with the U19s of France, and then he made the switch to Morocco. Just real dynamic with the ball. Loves these moments where he can beat defenders one-on-one. Good save from Matt Turner.
Musa. Come in by Saiz. Free kick given against Cannon.
88th minute, John, and you know me, I love playing the game of hypothetical and what if. So let's say everyone's healthy, including Giovanni Reina. I think Greg Berhalter has a real headache of what his front three looks like, including the midfield and behind that. And so it begs the question. The reason why I bring that up is we see Haji Wright, and the question mark of who's the number 9. Do we by chance see Timothy Weah play as a 9 if everyone's healthy? Because where do you play Brendan Aronson, Giovanni Reina, Christian Pulisic, Yunus Musa, Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams? There's some depth there, and if you don't have a 9, a definitive 9, can he play as a 9?
And do we see that in the next couple of games to try and find out the answer?
I think Greg Berhalter and staff are going to have the question. I'm going to have the conversation, I should say, and ask that question. Now, they're going to want to see a little bit more of Haji Wright. And obviously, Jesus Ferreira is in real good form with FC Dallas. But Timothy Weah is just different. It's different. Now, Greg Berhalter is going to argue with me in bringing that up and say, well, you take Timothy Weah out of the spot where he really is successful. And I'd argue, yeah, but he's so dynamic with his movement, and he's always thinking about where the goal is. It allows you then to play the Aronson, Reina, and Pulisic combination as well with the 3 in behind that if you need to. Because otherwise he's going to have to ask himself the one question, who is the most impactful coming off the bench? And that's barring Giovanni Reina being healthy and playing at a high level.
In a sense, a nice issue to have. Tillman. The good sides of the World Cup. The ones of top quality, the ones that will go deep in the competition, will be the ones that are leaving very good players out of their starting 11 early in the competition. There's Weston McKennie. Haji Wright emulating McKennie by scoring on his international debut this evening. Landon Donovan, another one. Now seems like many years ago, who marked his international bow with a goal. The most recent, prior to Haji Wright, was Cole Bassett against Bosnia in a friendly at the end of last year. A hefty chunk of additional time. Actually contributed to by the length of the hydration break. Still seeking something from what has been a pretty downbeat, disappointing night for them. And for their near 70-year-old coach. Free kick. There's no particular haste over it from the visitors. And they're 2 goals down in half an hour. 3 behind just after the hour mark.
To take. In towards Aguirre. Tipped up and caught by Turner. So next for the US men, it is a friendly against Uruguay at the weekend, and then they start the CONCACAF Nations League campaign against Grenada in Austin. Friday of next week, Friday, June the 10th, 9:30 Eastern on ESPN+. And that leads into a busy weekend of MLS on ABC. Saturday, June the 11th, 3 p.m. Eastern, Charlotte and the Red Bulls. Sunday, June the 12th, 3 o'clock again for Sporting Kansas City and the New England Revolution.
Rabat. Caught by Cannon. Cannon has committed a couple of fouls since receiving a yellow card. These are now the comparatively academic moments of this friendly, which overall has provided pretty good value for money for those 20,000 or so who bought tickets. Faj. Amrabat. Where? Morocco's national team greatly enjoy their moniker of the Atlas Lions tonight. Not because the US has played particularly well, they've been more like lambs, and the United States complete an entirely satisfactory evening and a 3-0 victory over fellow World Cup finalists Morocco. Goals from Aronson and Weah in the first half, from Haji Wright from the penalty spot in the second, a central figure, Christian Pulisic. Beautiful control and touch to set up Aronson's opener, and then having won a penalty, the forethought and foresight and consideration for a newly elevated colleague to give the ball to him at the last minute and allow Haji Wright to score on his international debut.
An important test against a World Cup level opponent, and I think it's really encouraging from the United States perspective that they can high press, they can dictate the game, they can make the opposition uncomfortable, because more often than not at that level the United States has always been reactive rather than proactive. Tonight you got a glimpse into Greg Berhalter believing with his full squad, maybe missing a couple players, that they have the capability of actually giving it to the opposition and making them uncomfortable. And I think when you look at the first 45 tonight in particular, Morocco was uncomfortable, and a lot of that was the United States being on the front foot, high pressing and turning them over and creating good opportunities for Timothy Weah and company.
So have we seen things from the US men's national team that we haven't seen before?
Well, we saw a little bit of a pragmatic approach in World Cup qualifying. I think you and I would agree, you maybe saw that 2 or 3 times in CONCACAF. And so in these friendlies, as close as you are to the World Cup, you've got to ask the question whether or not you're capable of doing it. They did it tonight against a team that was very successful in World Cup qualifying in Africa. And I think they got a real good understanding that they may have the capability of doing this come November and December.
Well, handshakes all round, enmities put aside, a tightly contested friendly that blossomed into a virtuoso display by this US men's national team. Coverage of